Let's talk about the one that's trending. We did touch on it when we started Wake Up Conversations. It's basically about a Sheikh Jingir. He did make a statement. Islamic cleric Sheikh Jingir has come under heavy fire over a controversial remark that Nigeria must continue with Muslim presidential ticket in 2027, coupled with his inflammatory labeling of Christians as infidels, which another cleric made up a video and mentioned something similar, going as far as saying that non-Muslims are under us and therefore they can be dealt with. Well, these have suggested that opponents against the ticket should leave the country. That's another statement that was made. The cleric made the remarks at an event attended by some all-progressive Congress governors, including the Kano State Governor, Abba Yusuf, and his Jigawa State counterpart, Umar Namadi. Now, according to the video that's circulating and what you can see on the screen there, the cleric remarked that his remarks has drawn sharp criticism from stakeholders such as the Christian Association of Nigeria, warning that such rhetoric dangerously fuels division. Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso condemned the remarks as un-Islamic and a threat to national unity, and human rights lawyer Deji Adeyanju stressed that the comments could inflame already fragile religious tensions in the country. Well, let's watch this video briefly, and then, of course, see the reaction from the Christian Association, and not forgetting to, we'll be talking about this as our guest joins us right away.
Ahmad Bola Tinubu wanda ya daga tutar siyasarsu ya mata kirari da Muslim na ce ina ɗaya daga cikin masu daga tutar musulunci in kira jama'a ku taho mu yi Muslim. Na sani cewa kafirai na jin zafin wannan kalma. To amma ba akwai kiristoci ba akwai yahudawa ba akwai masu bautar magiro ba. Ni musulmi mai wazin musulunci da na ce muslim mai na taba nasu. Na hana kirishin ya faɗa ne, na hana magiro ya faɗa ne, na hana ɗan tantalbate ya faɗa ne, amma ni a matsayi na musulmi muslim.
I'm coming to every Nigerian with a very serious, heavy heart, because I thought that at this stage of our lives, especially when we're getting older, we should begin to think about Nigeria and how we can all live together in peace. As of today, I have supported over 10,000 Muslims across northern Nigeria. They have no relationship with me at all. Whether it is the school of their children, whether it is their housekeeping, it is home issues and all of that. But look at this bastard that called himself a religious leader. These are the kind of people that I suppose that government should pick. But I can see the governor of Kano State. This is how...
Now we can see that the tension is indeed heating up. But joining us to have this conversation, we have one who actually has gone online and has spoken about it, spoken against it. And not just speaking against it, we also have right in front of me here, the numbers are indeed increasing. But political analyst Zariyi Yusuf has taken time to talk on this. Good morning. Thanks for being here. We must, first of all, apologize for the words that were used in both videos. It's our duty as members of the press and, of course, as a television station to mention that News Central does not in any way, whichever or whatsoever, support either of the divide or either of any religious personality that goes ahead to make such statements. We are and will continue to remain neutral. Back to you, our guests. Let's get your thoughts on this, being one who is a public commentator and one who holds this kind of situation very dearly at heart. What do you think this video circulating online could lead to, especially as Nigeria heads to a political or election cycle?
First of all, I think I would want to send a clear message to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, your Muslim ticket is directly linked to the extremist rhetorics that are already filtering openly into official grounds. Your Muslim presidency is the reason for the rising impunity with which Islamists kill Christians across the Middle Belt. Your Muslim presidency, although came and met an already unfortunate situation where there are Islamists doing the things they are doing, but your Muslim presidency is symbolic to what they think is an achievement or a marker of success in their war to annihilate Christians. And that is why you find illiterates like Sheikh Jingir standing and spewing hatred, basically referring to the entirety of the Christian population as infidels. Of course, I understand your position of being neutral as a TV station, and I appreciate your apology. But to a large extent, to those of us who are Christian, especially in the northern region, it is not exactly a new thing. Sheikh Jingir is the least of the threats in that video. The more dangerous thing is the presence of not just the Kano and Katsina state governors, but the fact that he was applauding. The Kano state governor didn't just applaud, but he was doing this with his hands. As if, a supporter of a football club is celebrating, their score against another team. These are governors that when you look at, you would think they are governors of strictly Christian and Muslim states, but it is not true. If you interface with the grassroots, you would understand that both Kano and Katsina has a very serious percentage of a Christian population who are not settlers but indigents. They have been so oppressed that people do not even know that there are Christians suffering oppression in Katsina and Kano. Katsina is even notorious for those cases where you pick people's daughters and marry them off to Muslims, Christian girls. There are so many of such cases. What this is telling you is that Nigeria is heading to a point where even the Biafran War and the Rwandan genocide will become child's play. When you have in official gatherings, such as a place where you take taxpayers' money, people's money that include both Muslims and Christians, and you marry 1,500 jobless human beings, and you are celebrating it, and on that platform you open up to tell people that this is a proof that you are dominating the Christians, whom you chose to refer to as infidels, that tells you something dangerous. The repeated use of the word infidel by any Muslim, whoever he may be, is what justifies the shedding of the blood of Christians. Because once you are labeled as an infidel, it simply means it will be an act of worship to whatever God they worship when you are killed. So it is not as if it is going to cause a problem. What Sheikh Jingir is saying is not like he's saying this, it may create this. That is symbolic to where we are heading to. His utterance is a sign that it is true. The Christians were not unreasonable to say that there is an Islamization agenda. Because if people already armed with state powers like the governor of Kano, the governors of Katsina, will be cheering an illiterate referring to Christians as infidels, then that tells you the depth of the wrath. And I will just summarize this question by telling you that the truth is this. Since these things have already started filtering into official gatherings of these extremists, you will be surprised as to the people who are sponsoring the Islamist mercenaries that have been killing Christians in the Middle Belt.
All right. So now that you've mentioned the very critical part, the fact that there were educated politicians and people who Nigerians voted into office in that crowd cheering while such statements were being made, how do you propose that the government of the day deals with this? What would look like a fair handling of this matter? We've seen the vice president condemn this. We've seen Femi Fani-Kayode condemn this. We've seen a number of high-profile individuals condemn this. But what will the government do to prove that the government is not one that is religiously biased in this situation?
The first thing the government must do is basically to deal with the symbolic aspect of it. By no means whatsoever must President Bola Ahmed Tinubu continue with whatever they are proposing to run another Muslim ticket. Of course, however they got into power in the first place is left to God. As Nigerians, we understand that clearly. But the idea of sitting and presiding over a country where there is a Christian genocide And because something you claim is a political calculation, you want to run with a Muslim ticket. Clearly, the reality on ground is telling you that it is not a political calculation, but it is a religious strategy of dominance. So put an end to the Muslim ticket first. Secondly, people like Sheikh Jingir, an extremist who tends to enjoy some pampery from the federal government, he should be in jail. Because you can't convince people otherwise that you have a problem with what Sheikh Jingir said. And at the same time, you are courting him, you are in bed with him. That was exactly how, after the 2023 election, another extremist who supervised the massacre of Christians in Kaduna, Malan Nasr El-Rufai, gathered Islamic clerics and told them how he has achieved what he has achieved by running a Muslim governorship in a state that has a roughly equal population of Christians and Muslims, and told them the same thing will be replicated nationally. Of course, he didn't make his own inroads into the government, but with the matter of the bloodshed, the toll of the killing of Christians, it is almost a national thing today. So one of the things that will happen is that symbolism that makes every extremist in Nigeria point to and say there is a Muslim presidency that proves we have outnumbered them or we dominate them, and so we can just do away with them. They would either combat or we kill them. It should be put to an end, because that will plunge the country into a civil war. And that will be very dirty. That cleric should not just be arrested, but he deserves to be jailed. There are many other than him, because I have seen a couple of Muslims who want to deceive Nigerians by claiming that he was expressing his personal view. It's a lie. If you look clearly, there are other powerful Islamic clerics that hailed what he did. And there are educated people that hailed what he did. Those governors are not illiterates. A serious part of the people sitting there are not illiterates. So you need to begin to set laws where, when such extremists climb platforms and spew hatred, you arrest them and make sure they spend a very good time in jail. Such kinds of messages must be criminalized. Because once it is becoming official, which it has become, because when a sitting governor applauds referring to Christians as infidels, it's because he believes they already own the state. And like I said, the very symbolism that fuels this hatred and this extremism is the Muslim ticket. And the president must change that decision. All of the political parties must do that. I'm only speaking now as a Christian from the Middle Belt who sees the dangers of these things, who have suffered the consequences of this evil machination they call the Muslim ticket. Quite will go a long way.
I mean, quite a sad situation we find ourselves. But very quickly, if you were, I mean, you're not the presidential spokesperson, but if you were, what do you think the presidency should do now? Looking at the fact that, like I mentioned earlier on, whenever it comes to election season, we tend to see politicians always looking for a soft spot. And why is it that it is always the religion or religious battles or, bigotry, name them, that they always focus on? Why is that?
Well, the truth of the matter is that I think a good understanding of the history of Nigeria will tell you why it is like that. And I may be accused of being biased, but you always know that at the forefront of the use or the employment of religion to clinch political power is especially the northern Muslim politicians. Nasir El-Rufai did that in 2023. While he was championing his extremist ideologies, he was accusing another candidate of that. So the idea is that we pursue this evil and then we quickly turn the table and accuse the victims of it. What the president should do now, one, you should criminalize such teachings. There are many Islamic clerics that if the president was actually sincere in his war against terrorism, they shouldn't be walking the streets. You would either take them out, because we will have one who defends terrorists and we have another one who celebrates the Muslim ticket as a victory of Islam over Christianity. So what the president should do is to sit with his cabinet, is to consult again and put an end to that thing they call the Muslim ticket, criminalize people who, because if that is the only thing he achieves in his 4 years, it will go a long way. Because it is a trend being introduced to Nigeria that is very unfortunate. Symbolically, it gives room for Islamists from Mali, from Chad, from everywhere, because they believe it is the country of Islam, so let's come in and just do away with the adulterants, which would be the Christians. So the president has a responsibility of arresting that Islamic cleric, and whatever measures there are that lie in the constitution, those governors must pay for it, because to a large extent I'm expecting they should be sued, should be petitioned and sued for that, because it's simply them using state powers to applaud and to pamper or to commend the rising of extremism, which is something I suspect they have possibly been doing secretly before it just came out openly, because we will owe Sheikh Jingir thanks to the fact that he just opened us up to another caliber of people who basically use state powers to push this. It's not new. El-Rufai did it, and they are the ones doing it now. You will need to hear the stories of Christians in Katsina and Kano states, how they suffer, persecution. I'm talking to you about indigents, not the ones that just write from somewhere and begin to claim they are what they are not. So the president has a huge responsibility in that regard. The simple reason is because his Muslim presidency is directly related to the impunity with which extremists kill people and push all of this rhetorics.
All right, Zari, I mean, we're out of time, but what do you make of the response just put out there by another political member of the current APC? I'm talking about one who works with the FCT Minister, Liri Olayinka. I mean, he just put out on social media kind of like a different view from what you put out, saying that we're all infidels, that what the Sheikh said is not an insult, but it's actually true that he himself is an infidel, therefore all of us are infidels. What do you make of that?
What I make of that is that it is a confirmation of the fact that perhaps it may not have been officially written, but at the core of the formation of the ruling party, the APC, is basically the most dangerous threat to humanity as of today, which is Islamism. And that is the reason why anybody would comfortably tell you, well, it's not exactly out of place and all of that. We understand the concept of deceit, where he could even come out and condemn the cleric and say he's expressing his personal view. The man is only being true to what they are pursuing. That basically is all. It is basically a scheme to subjugate Christians and Islamize the country. So it's just a confirmation of it. It's not exactly as if I will appreciate him for his honesty. That's all. Instead of the ones that wanted to look as if they were.
All right. Let's hold on a bit. We still have a few more questions to ask in this regard, but we are following up with the Osun elections, and our correspondent is at the moment interviewing the Commissioner of Police. We want to quickly get the statement that he has to say regarding the elections. Let's see what the statement is, and then we'll come back to you. Over to you, Bernard. What is the current position in Osun State? We hear that you are speaking with the Commissioner. Let's hear what he has to say.
People at the court activities, but it is not politically motivated. That I can assure you. It is not politically motivated. It's just normal court, attack and reprisal attack. But we want to stop it now, and it will not happen again.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Olive, good morning. Good morning, guys. Breakfast show. Unfortunately, we missed, or maybe you missed, what the CP was saying. We couldn't hold him down for long because the movement is about to commence. But we'll have that clip played back to you. We currently are at the police HQ in Osun State, and if you can look behind me, there's a trail of police vehicles, police operatives. But the CP did say that this is not just by the police alone, like the one that they did last week. Now, this is a joint effort by different security operatives in the state. It's comprising of the police, the Air Force, NSCDC, there's going to be road safety as well, and all other security operatives that can join this particular operation. Now, this operation, he did say, is going to go around different parts of the state capital, Osogbo, and of course of the state. He also did speak about certain hot spots that have been noticed from past experience, and he has said that those places have been marked out and that definitely they would touch those places particularly. And then finally, the CP also did talk about rumors stating that some of these attacks and reprisal attacks by different political parties are set in a certain way motivated. He did say that citizens should not be afraid. He doesn't believe they are motivated. He just thinks they are attacks and reprisal attacks by different groups and different political parties. And he has said that the police is on ground with other security operatives, and they are assuring citizens that the forthcoming elections will be peaceful, credible, free, and fair.
Bernard, I find that very interesting. It's not politically motivated, and it is just attacks and reprisal attacks. The question would be, what is causing the attack in the first place? And why does someone feel the need to carry out the reprisal attacks? Also, seeing the multitude of armed men behind you gives me bittersweet feelings. Bitter because this is an unfortunate way for us to conduct an election. It's election, not war. Sweet because, again, it helps us to think that the people of Osun State can go out to cast their votes confident that their lives will not be at risk. But we'll continue to follow up with you, Bernard, and we know that you bring us more updates and you're covering it live. Please do stay safe, and we look forward to connecting with you again. Thank you for your time. We will go on a very quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation, the statement made by the Islamic cleric regarding the Muslim ticket. And we have Zariyi Yusuf still here joining us virtually, and the conversation continues in a moment, so please stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still looking at the conversations and the statement made by the Muslim cleric undermining Christianity, and we have political analyst Zariyi Yusuf here with us in the studio, but joining virtually. Thank you very much for still staying with us. You have been saying that the Muslim ticket by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is one that is propagating the religious bigotry or the religious hardship that Christians are experiencing. And you've called for him to jettison the Muslim ticket and to ensure that, and not just him, every political party flagship bearer. Is this a call that you genuinely believe will be adhered to? Or do you believe that this call is you just saying what you believe should be, but it's an effort in futility? Because this call was made at the last elections. It wasn't hearkened to. The Muslim ticket still flew. Do you genuinely believe that government of the day would listen to that?
Bola Ahmed Tinubu listens to it. There is something he should understand. The insistence by extremists that he runs a Muslim ticket is not because of any political convenience. It's the singular fact that even as a Muslim, because he is a Yoruba man, he is not seen as a Muslim. So running the Muslim ticket first victimizes him as a Muslim that is not valued as Muslim enough by the people who are pushing for it. That is the first thing you should understand. With the expectation of whether he's going to heed to it or not, it's just a measure of his desperation to remain in power, or the tendency of him to actually lose his election, coupled with the economic hardship and all of that. There is so much bloodshed in the country. What I'm saying is simple. We can't argue and claim that it is because there is a Muslim ticket that the violence have erupted or that the extremism has come, but that the Muslim ticket symbolically gives impression to the extremist that indeed they have achieved something, especially as presented to Islamic clerics by Nasiru El-Rufai, who, thank God, is not anywhere close to the corridors of power. It legitimizes, it justifies the impunity with which these things happen. A couple of years ago, it would be very difficult in a public gathering of that sort for somebody to put the umbrella of infidels over the entire Christian population, but it's happening now. Remember that Musawa, a minister, also sat down and insisted that the president stood a chance of losing the election unless he ran with a Muslim, and the Muslim will have to either be Kanuri or Fulani. So if you are a Hausa man, the typical Hausa people, if you are from the middle belt, you have a tribe, whether you are Bagi, whether you are Birom, whether you are Baju, whether you are Atiap, and a Muslim, you are not Muslim enough. So whatever he is doing is a deadly ideology he is carrying, where he is the first victim. Sincerely speaking, if these extremists respect him as a Muslim, they won't bother about the Muslim tickets because they see him equally like the people they categorize as infidels. So it is exactly up to his own safety as a human being. You don't forget that there was an Islamic cleric that said they should behead the wife of the president. There was a time somebody said that. When these clerics speak, do not make the mistake of thinking that they are airing their personal views. There are people within the government, there are politicians, there are educated people who use them as mouthpieces. When they make such comments, it is because they have been assured by those in government, by possibly those close to the president, they will do everything possible to ensure nothing happens to them. It was the same thing that happened with the terrorists that lynched Deborah. It was because all across, the hierarchies of power and security in the state, they had guaranteed them nothing will happen. And that was why they faced the camera and said, we are killing her, look at our faces and nothing will happen. And until date, nothing happened. The same with the man that called for the beheading of the, wife of the president, that she's an infidel. You are a Yoruba man who is a Muslim. They don't respect you as a Muslim. Simple. That is the reason why they are pushing for the Muslim ticket. So it is in his interest to understand that, one, he will save a lot of bloodshed, and secondly, he will deflate and cripple the mentality that already it is an entitlement to suppress and oppress those we term as infidels, and then the killings can go on with impunity. So it's in his wisdom to either heed, to that, or in his foolishness to ignore it and proceed. But then we know where exactly this is going to lead to.
Thank you so much, Zariyi Yusuf, for taking time out to speak with us in such a short notice. Thank you. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.